South Africa sells a dream unlike anything else on Earth. Safari sunsets bleeding orange across open savanna. Vineyard roads winding through mountain valleys. A coastline where two oceans meet. Table Mountain sitting above a city like a declaration. For millions of travelers every year, that dream survives the flight and delivers exactly what was promised. But for millions more, something goes wrong. The wrong city, the wrong neighborhood, the wrong information. A trip that should have been extraordinary becoming something far more dangerous than a disappointment. Today, we are counting down 15 South African cities you need to think twice about, and the few that are actually worth your time. Number 15. East London. East London sits on the Eastern Cape Coast and markets itself as a quieter, more affordable alternative to the better-known South African coastal destinations. The Nahoon Beach surf break is genuinely good. The proximity to the wild coast, one of the most dramatically beautiful stretches of undeveloped coastline in Africa, gives the city a geographic argument for its place on a South African itinerary. But East London's tourism infrastructure has not kept pace with what modern travelers require, and its crime statistics place it consistently among the most dangerous cities in South Africa by assault and robbery rates. The city center deteriorated significantly over the past 2 decades as economic activity migrated to suburban nodes, leaving a hollowed-out urban core with limited tourist appeal and elevated risk for visitors who navigate it without local knowledge. The wild coast itself, the destination that most travelers are actually trying to reach when they route through East London, is accessible more safely and more efficiently by flying into Mathatha and traveling directly to the coastal villages that make the region worth visiting. East London as a gateway adds risk without adding value. Go here instead. Port Alfred, an hour southwest along the Eastern Cape Coast, is a small marina town with genuinely good beaches, a functional tourist infrastructure, and a community character that East London city centre has largely lost. For the Wild Coast specifically, base yourself in Coffee Bay or Chinsa and eliminate the urban transit risk entirely. East London's problem is about deterioration over time. The next city on this list has a different problem entirely, and it involves a destination whose danger is being actively obscured by its own marketing. Number 14. Pietermaritzburg. Pietermaritzburg, KwaZulu-Natal's capital city, carries genuine historical weight. The Victorian colonial architecture in the city center is among the best preserved in South Africa. The connection to Mahatma Gandhi, who was famously thrown off a train at the nearby Pietermaritzburg station in an act of racial discrimination that shaped his political philosophy, gives the city a place in world history that most visitors do not know about before they arrive. What the tourism material does not foreground is that Pietermaritzburg has ranked among the highest murder rate cities in South Africa for consecutive years in national crime statistics. The central business district experiences levels of street crime that make independent exploration genuinely hazardous for visitors unfamiliar with the city's geography. Areas that appear navigable on a map carry risks that a map cannot communicate. The city functions as a transit point for travelers heading to the Drakensberg mountain range, the Midlands Meandercraft and Food Route, or the KwaZulu-Natal battlefields. As a transit point used with clear intent and careful routing, it serves that purpose. As a destination in its own right, the risk-to-reward calculation does not work in a visitor's favor. Go here instead. Hilton and Howick, small towns in the KwaZulu-Natal Midlands, 30 minutes from Pietermaritzburg, offer the Midlands meander experience with none of the urban risk. The Howick Falls and the adjacent Karkloof Nature Reserve deliver a completely different character of KwaZulu-Natal than the capital city provides. That next entry involves a city whose problems are seasonal and specific, catching travelers completely off guard because nothing in the booking process warns them about what certain times of year actually look and feel like on the ground. If you have not subscribed yet, now is the moment. This channel exists to give you the information that travel brochures will never volunteer. Subscribing means you will not miss what is coming next in this series. Number 13. Richards Bay. Richards Bay is KwaZulu-Natal's major industrial port city, home to one of the largest coal export terminals in the world and a significant aluminum smelting operation. The surrounding landscape reflects that industrial reality. The air quality near the port and smelting operations is measurably affected on days when wind direction brings emissions toward the residential and coastal areas. The city markets its proximity to the icy Mangaliso Wetland Park, a UNESCO World Heritage Site of extraordinary ecological significance as a reason for tourist visits. That proximity is real. Isimangaliso is genuinely one of the finest wildlife and coastal ecosystems in Africa, combining lake systems, coral reefs, hippo populations, crocodiles, and nesting sea turtle beaches in a single protected area. But Richards Bay itself is a functional industrial city with limited tourist infrastructure, persistent crime concerns in its central areas, and an aesthetic character shaped entirely by its port economy rather than any tourism consideration. Using it as a base for Isimangaliso access requires navigating an urban environment that adds risk and discomfort without adding experience. Go here instead. St. Lucia, the small town sitting at the southern entrance to Isimangaliso Wetland Park, is built entirely around park access and delivers the hippo and pelican estuary experience from its main street. Hippos graze the town's lawns at night. The entire character of the place is built around what you came to see. Stay there, not in Richards Bay. The next city on this list surprises people because it is located in one of South Africa's most visited provinces and carries a name that sounds reassuringly established. But what is happening on its streets tells a very different story. Number 12. Polokwane. Polokwane is the capital of Limpopo Province and the primary service city for the Greater Limpopo region, which contains some of South Africa's finest safari destinations, including the northern sections of Kruger National Park and the private game reserves of the Greater Kruger ecosystem. The city's practical role as a fuel, supply, and transit hub for the safari corridor gives it a place on many itineraries by necessity. That necessity is the trap. Polokwane's city center carries crime statistics that place it among the higher-risk urban environments in South Africa. Street crime targeting visitors, particularly around the central business district and transport hubs, is well documented in traveler accounts and police statistics. The city's infrastructure, while functional, offers no tourist experience that compensates for the risk of extended time in its urban core. Travelers routing through Polokwane for Kruger access should treat it as a fuel stop with a locked car, not as a destination. A quick supermarket stop for supplies at one of the established shopping centers on the city's outskirts, where security is managed and the risk profile is lower, is a reasonable use of the transit. An afternoon exploring the city center is not. Go here instead. Tzaneen, an hour east in the Limpopo Lowveld, is a genuinely pleasant small city surrounded by subtropical vegetation, tea plantations, and the Magabaskloof mountain pass, and functions as a far more enjoyable overnight stop for travelers entering the northern Kruger zone. Polokwane's problem is about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. The next entry on this list involves a city that is in the wrong place all the time, and where the specific geography creates dangers that visitors consistently underestimate. Number 11. Mthatha. Mthatha is the largest city in the Eastern Cape's former Transkei region and serves as the primary urban center for a wide rural hinterland, including the birthplace of Nelson Mandela at Kunu, which sits just south of the city along the N2 highway. The Mandela Connection brings visitors to the area who would otherwise have no reason to pass through, and the museum and memorial site at Kunu is a genuinely moving and historically important place to visit. The city itself is a different matter. Mthatha carries some of the most serious crime statistics in the Eastern Cape, a province that already ranks among the higher crime regions in South Africa. The central business district has deteriorated severely over multiple decades of economic decline and municipal dysfunction. Road infrastructure in and around the city is significantly degraded, with potholes that damage vehicles and night driving that carries elevated risks from both road conditions and security concerns. The N2 highway passing through the region has been the site of incidents involving vehicles being forced to stop by objects placed in the road, a pattern well documented in police reports and traveler advisories for the region. Go here instead. The Mandela sites at Kunu are worth visiting as part of a carefully planned daytime itinerary that does not require stopping in Mthatha itself. Base yourself in Coffee Bay, Sinsa, or Morgan Bay along the Wild Coast and make the Kunu visit a structured day trip with a local guide rather than an overnight in the city. That entry was about a city that fails its visitors through neglect and risk. The next one fails them through something more surprising. A reputation so carefully maintained that the gap between image and reality has become one of the most expensive mismatches in South African travel. Number 10. Sun City Resort Area. Northwest Province. Sun City is not a city. It is a privately developed resort complex in the Northwest Province that has operated since the early 1980s and built an international reputation as Africa's answer to Las Vegas. The Palace of the Lost City, the Centerpiece Hotel, is a genuinely spectacular piece of themed resort architecture. The Valley of Waves artificial beach and wave pool is a legitimate family entertainment facility. The surrounding Pilanesberg National Park, a malaria-free Big Five reserve accessible on a day trip from the resort, is one of the finest accessible wildlife destinations in southern Africa. But Sun City as a value proposition in the current South African travel market is deeply questionable. The resort infrastructure is aging, and the investment required to maintain the Palace of the Lost City at the standard its appearance and price point imply has not consistently materialized. Rooms in the signature hotel frequently disappoint guests paying flagship rates for a product that reflects the maintenance reality of a 40-year-old themed resort, rather than the fantasy that its architecture promises. The food and beverage operation across the resort runs on a captive audience model. Guests staying on the property and accessing the Valley of Waves and other facilities are not in a position to seek competitive alternatives, and the pricing reflects that captivity. A family of 4 spending 3 days at Sun City without careful budgeting will find the incidental costs exceed the accommodation cost by a margin that surprises almost everyone who has not stayed there before. Go here instead. Madikwe Game Reserve, 2 hours northwest, is one of South Africa's most underrated Big Five reserves, malaria-free, excellently managed, and home to lodges that deliver a genuine safari experience at price points competitive with what Sun City charges for an aging theme resort. The comparison in value and experience is not close. The next destination on this list carries no resort ambiguity. Its problems are immediate, documented, and the reason that the South African government's own tourism communications include specific warnings about it. Number 9. Johannesburg. CBD. Johannesburg built modern South Africa's economy. The gold reef beneath the city's foundations produced the wealth that industrialized the country and drew migration from across the continent and the world. The Constitutional Hill Precinct, where the Constitutional Court sits on the site of the old Fort Prison, is one of the most architecturally and historically significant public buildings in Africa. The Newtown Cultural Precinct has genuine creative energy. The Maboneng district on the city's eastern edge has attracted real investment and genuine urban renewal. But the Johannesburg Central Business District, the grid of streets surrounding the old mining exchange and the original commercial core, is not a place that independent tourist exploration serves well by any honest assessment. The CBD has experienced sustained population and economic flight to northern suburbs since the early post-apartheid period, leaving a downtown that functions primarily as a high-density informal trading environment with crime levels that have resisted multiple municipal renewal attempts. Street crime targeting pedestrians is not occasional in the Joburg CBD. It is routine, and it is well documented in police statistics and traveler incident reports. Visitors who arrive with an urban explorer mindset shaped by experiences in Nairobi, Lagos, or South American cities, and who therefore underestimate Joburg's CBD risk because they have successfully navigated other dense African commercial centers, are the visitors most likely to have serious incidents. Go here instead. The Johannesburg that delivers extraordinary experiences is located in Maboneng, in the Rosebank and Sandton commercial nodes, in the Soweto township with a registered guide who knows the area deeply, and in the Apartheid Museum, which sits near Gold Reef City and is one of the finest history museums in the world. Johannesburg rewards visitors who know where to go. The CBD is not where to go. If this list is changing how you think about South Africa travel, hit the like button right now. It genuinely helps this video reach the travelers who need to see it before they make an expensive and potentially dangerous mistake. The next entry is going to surprise you. It is a city that appears on almost every South Africa highlight reel, has a globally recognized landmark, and a specific problem that its own residents warn visitors about, but that almost no travel guide will say plainly. Number 8. Durban, Florida Road and Beach Strip at night. Let us be precise here because Durban as a whole is not the problem. The city has genuine appeal. The Indian Ocean water temperature is the warmest on South Africa's coastline. The Indian food culture in Durban, developed over 150 years since indentured laborers arrived from the subcontinent, produces some of the finest curry cooking in the southern hemisphere. The bunny chow, a hollowed loaf of bread filled with curry, is one of South Africa's great contribution to world food culture, and it originated here. The Ushaka Marine World Aquarium and the Moses Mabhida Stadium are legitimate attractions. But Durban's famous beachfront strip and the Florida Road Entertainment Corridor carry nighttime safety profiles that the tourism promotion glosses over with a thoroughness that borders on negligence. The beachfront promenade, which should be the city's showpiece coastal public space, has been the location of sustained mugging and assault incidents targeting tourists and locals alike for years. Attempted recoveries have produced temporary improvements that have not held. Visiting the beachfront after dark is a risk that Durban residents themselves routinely counsel against. The gap between the daytime beach city that the marketing photographs and the nighttime reality of the same geography is wide and consequential. Florida Road, the restaurant and bar strip in the Morningside suburb, is more functional but carries its own security considerations after late evening, particularly in the streets between venues. Groups of visitors who separate from the main cluster of active establishments are the primary targets of opportunistic crime in this corridor. Go here instead. The Umhlanga Rocks area, 15 minutes north of central Durban along the coast, operates at a genuinely different security level. The Gateway Theatre of Shopping Precinct, the Umhlanga Promenade, and the concentration of restaurants and accommodation in the immediate area create an environment where the Durban coastal experience is available with meaningfully lower risk. The La Lucia and Umhlanga Ridge nodes are where Durban's own professional class has relocated its dining and entertainment precisely because the security equation there works. The next city on this list has nothing in common with Durban's structure or geography. Its problem is quieter, slower, and in some ways more insidious because it is invisible until the moment it costs you something serious. Number 7. Kimberley. Kimberley is the capital of the Northern Cape and the site of the Big Hole, the largest hand-dug excavation in the world, produced by the diamond rush that began in 1871 and transformed southern Africa's political and economic history. The open-air museum around the Big Hole is genuinely interesting. The story of De Beers, Cecil Rhodes, and the concentration of diamond wealth that shaped the region is one of the defining narratives of modern South Africa. But Kimberley, as a destination in the current moment, carries a specific and underreported problem. The city's economic base has contracted sharply as diamond extraction shifted to other sites and other methods. That contraction has produced unemployment levels that drive property crime rates significantly above the national average for a city of its size. Vehicle crime in Kimberley is a particular concern. Rental vehicles are targeted with a consistency that local police acknowledge and car hire companies operating in the city are aware of. Travelers who leave rental cars unattended in the city center or at viewpoints near the Big Hole without taking specific precautions are operating at a risk level that the tourist infrastructure around the site does not adequately communicate. The drive through Kimberley is also a common routing for travelers making the long haul between Cape Town and Johannesburg on the N12. That transit adds hours to the journey without adding value, and the risk exposure of an extended stop in the city does not justify the detour. Go here instead. If the diamond history genuinely interests you, the Kimberley Mine Museum around the Big Hole can be visited as a structured morning stop with valuables secured and a rental car in a monitored parking area. Treat it as a 2-hour structured visit rather than an overnight, and continue to Upington or Loxton for your Northern Cape overnight stay. What follows is a destination that has the opposite problem from Kimberley. It is not economically depressed. It is not overlooked. It is enormously popular, internationally famous, and delivering something far below what that fame implies it should. Number 6. Bloemfontein. Bloemfontein is South Africa's judicial capital, the seat of the Supreme Court of Appeal, and the birthplace of J.R.R. Tolkien, a fact that the city deploys enthusiastically in its tourism marketing. The National Museum contains a genuinely significant fossil collection from the Karoo region. The Naval Hill Planetarium sits above a small game reserve inside the city's limits, but Bloemfontein is a city that its own residents frequently describe with a bluntness that the official tourism material does not match. The city center carries serious crime concerns. The infrastructure of the Free State provincial government, of which Bloemfontein is the capital, has been subject to significant governance failures that have affected municipal services, road maintenance, and public space management in ways that are visible to any visitor who looks past the government quarter. The tourist offering outside the museum and the Hobbit connection is genuinely thin. A city of nearly 500,000 people should be able to produce a more compelling visitor proposition than it currently does. And the gap between Bloemfontein's administrative importance and its tourism delivery is one of the starker contrasts in South African urban travel. Go here instead. Clarens, 90 minutes east in the foothills of the Maluti Mountains near the Lesotho border, is one of South Africa's most charming small towns. An arts community, excellent weekend restaurants, good hiking access into the Golden Gate Highlands National Park, and a physical setting of sandstone cliffs and mountain light make it everything that a Free State overnight should be and is not in Bloemfontein. The next city on this list is internationally known, deeply photogenic, and hiding a problem in plain sight that millions of visitors walk straight into every year without anyone warning them in advance. Number 5. Port Elizabeth, now Gqeberha. Gqeberha, recently renamed from Port Elizabeth, sits at the western end of Algoa Bay and serves as the gateway to the Eastern Cape Safari Circuit that includes Addo Elephant National Park, the private reserves of the Shamwari Group, and the malaria-free Big Five destinations that have made the Eastern Cape one of South Africa's most compelling wildlife regions. The airport and the transit function it serves are legitimate and important. Flying into Gqeberha and driving directly to Addo or the private reserves is a sound travel strategy that many visitors use successfully. The city itself is a different proposition. Gqeberha has experienced significant economic decline over the past 20 years as automotive manufacturing, which formed the backbone of the local economy, contracted. That contraction has produced unemployment rates and associated crime levels that place the city consistently among the higher-risk urban environments in South Africa. The beachfront, which occupies a genuinely attractive stretch of Algoa Bay coastline, has experienced the same deterioration pattern as Durban's Promenade. The Boardwalk Casino and Entertainment Complex operates as a functional, self-contained precinct with its own security management. But the broader beachfront and city center require the kind of caution that most tourists arriving for a safari are not mentally calibrated for. Go here instead. Fly in, collect your car, and drive the 45 minutes to Addo without an overnight in the city. The game reserves in the Eastern Cape have on-site accommodation at every price point, from tented camps to luxury lodges, and there is no itinerary reason to spend a night in the city if the safari is your destination. 4 entries left, and these are the ones that generate the sharpest disagreement because both cities have world-class elements sitting inside genuinely dangerous contexts. Understanding that combination clearly is what this final section is for. Number 4. Cape Town, certain townships and after dark CBD. Let us be precise here because this entry will generate more pushback than any other on this list, and the precision matters. Cape Town is one of the most beautiful cities on earth. The Table Mountain setting, the Atlantic seaboard, the winelands an hour's drive inland, the food culture, the design culture, the energy of a city that has attracted creative investment from across the world. Cape Town delivers on its reputation in ways that make it genuinely world-class. But Cape Town also has one of the highest inequality indices of any major city in the world, and the spatial geography of that inequality, a direct inheritance of apartheid-era planning, concentrates poverty and the crime that accompanies it in specific areas that sit adjacent to the tourist geography in ways that visitors frequently misread. The Cape Flats, the sprawling township areas stretching inland from the city, have gang conflict levels that produce homicide statistics, making Cape Town one of the most dangerous cities in the world by that measure. This violence is primarily community on community and gang territorial in character, but the proximity of affected areas to tourist routes and the regularity with which GPS navigation routes tourists through areas with active gang activity creates genuine risk for visitors who drive without local awareness. The city center after dark in certain blocks near the taxi ranks and the lower end of Long Street carries mugging risks that increase significantly past midnight. Signal Hill and Lion's Head, viewpoints spectacular during daylight, have been the sites of serious robbery incidents at dawn and dusk when small numbers of hikers are isolated on the paths. Go here instead, or rather, go here correctly. The Atlantic seaboard, De Waterkant, the V&A waterfront, Camps Bay, and the southern suburbs from Newlands to Constantia all deliver the Cape Town experience at a risk level that is manageable with normal urban awareness. The winelands towns of Stellenbosch and Franschhoek carry security environments dramatically better than the city's own. A registered guide for township visits, whether to Langa or Khayelitsha, transforms a dangerous independent exploration into one of the most meaningful cultural experiences in South Africa. Number 3. Johannesburg Johannesburg OR Tambo Airport surrounds, or Tambo International Airport, is the busiest airport in Africa and the primary international gateway for the majority of visitors arriving in South Africa. Almost every international flight into the country touches this airport, which means that the area immediately surrounding it is the first South African geography that millions of visitors encounter. That area is one of the most consistently dangerous transit zones in the country for international travelers. The N3 and R21 highway corridors surrounding OR Tambo have been the site of highway robbery incidents targeting hire cars and shuttle vehicles. The pattern is specific and documented. Vehicles identified as hire cars, typically by their rental company stickers or number plates, are followed from the airport and forced to stop in quiet highway sections by vehicles working in coordination. These are not opportunistic incidents. They are organized operations that have been reported to police consistently for years without the pattern being eliminated. The accommodation zone, immediately around the airport, while functional and useful for early morning flights, carries elevated crime risk in its surrounding streets. Hotels within the immediate precinct manage their own security perimeters effectively. The streets outside those perimeters are a different environment. Go here instead. The Sandton and Rosebank hotel nodes, 20 minutes from the airport on a clear road, operate in a security environment where the organized highway crime pattern is less prevalent and the overall visitor risk profile is meaningfully lower. Shuttle services from reputable operators between the airport and Sandton or Rosebank are a safer transit option than independent hire car navigation of the N3 corridor for first-time arrivals who do not know the road environment. Number 2. Nelspruit, now Mbombela. Mbombela is the capital of Mpumalanga province and the primary urban gateway to the southern sections of Kruger National Park via the Numbi and Mail Lane gates. The Panorama Route, one of South Africa's most spectacular drives through Blyde River Canyon country, is accessible from the city. The Saturday market at the Lowveld Botanical Garden draws a genuinely local and enjoyable crowd. But Mbombela's city center and surrounding commercial areas carry crime levels that consistently surprise visitors who arrive with the safari mindset rather than urban caution. Mpumalanga is a province with significant political and criminal complexity, and the provincial capital reflects that. Carjacking in and around Mbombela is documented at rates that make it a specific threat rather than a background statistic for the region. The city's infrastructure also struggles with the governance pressures that have affected much of Mpumalanga's public service delivery. Power outages run longer and more frequently here than in better resourced urban nodes. Water supply interruptions affect accommodation and restaurant operations in ways that create practical difficulties for visitors. Go here instead. White River, 15 minutes north of Mbombela in the escarpment foothills, is a small town with genuinely excellent restaurants, an arts community, boutique accommodation, and a completely different security and infrastructure character from the provincial capital. Hazy View, another 20 minutes north toward the Kruger Gate, sits even closer to the park entrance and functions as a well-run tourism hub that eliminates the need to engage with Mbombela's city center at all. One entry left. And it is the entry that will generate the most conversation because it is not a dangerous city in the conventional sense. Its problem is something more subtle, more expensive, and in its own way more damaging to a South Africa trip than almost anything else on this list. Number 1. Hermanus, Peak Whale. Season without accommodation booked. Hermanus is a coastal town 2 hours east of Cape Town along the Whale Coast, and for a specific 6-week window between July and October each year, it becomes one of the most extraordinary wildlife spectacles accessible from any major city in the world. Southern right whales enter Walker Bay to calve and mate, approaching so close to the clifftop paths above the town that you can hear them breathe. The Hermanus Whale Festival draws visitors from every continent. The town has a cliff path that runs for 12 kilometers above the bay, providing one of the finest land-based whale-watching experiences on the planet. Outside that window, Hermanus is a pleasant but unremarkable small coastal town with good restaurants, a functioning fishing harbor, and weekend crowds from Cape Town that fill its accommodation and raise its prices without the whale spectacle to justify either. But the specific trap that Hermanus sets for visitors is not the off-season disappointment, it is the peak season disaster. Hermanus during peak whale season without pre-booked accommodation is a town that will strand you in a way that no other South African destination matches. Day visitors arrive from Cape Town in volumes that the N2 and R43 roads handle with increasing difficulty as the season peaks. The town's accommodation, limited in total inventory relative to demand, sells out months in advance at prices that reflect that scarcity ruthlessly. Visitors who arrive expecting to find something on arrival or who book last-minute accommodation in Hermanus at peak rates often pay more per night than they would for a central Cape Town hotel, for a room in a guest house that would cost a quarter of the price in any other month. The town's restaurant and parking infrastructure similarly buckles under peak season pressure. The cliff path itself becomes crowded enough during the busiest weekends that the contemplative whale-watching experience it promises becomes a managed pedestrian flow exercise. Go here instead, or rather, go here correctly. Book Hermanus accommodation 8 to 12 months in advance for the August to October window, and it delivers one of the most memorable wildlife experiences in Africa. Visit outside that window and redirect the trip to Gansby, 45 minutes further along the coast, where great white shark cage diving and African penguin colonies provide year-round spectacle that Hermanus cannot match outside its whale season. Every entry on this list has a better alternative within reach. Finding it is the difference between a trip that stays with you forever and one that costs you more than you planned in ways you never anticipated. Do not let outdated information or carefully managed marketing send you somewhere that the evidence says you should not go. Subscribe now and click the next video on the left. We are covering East African safari destinations next, and at least 3 entries will completely change the itinerary you thought you had planned.